All right. Welcome, friends. So, Tuesday morning, another opportunity for Your Legacy Live. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about trust. So we're all about trust this morning. We're talking about what is a trust? Does only the rich need trusts? And what does trust planning or the estate planning process look like in general? So we're going to hit those three different things. Of course, you have comments, questions, put them in the comments below. We'll get to them if we don't see them while we're on live here, which we should. But anyways, if you post them afterwards, we'll still get to you. All right, look forward to it. Let's go ahead and get started. As you know, Todd Jarvis, I'm legacy advisor and attorney, and let's jump into it. All right, so what is a trust? So think of a trust as a will substitute. A will says who gets what, under what circumstances, and who's in charge of making that happen. A trust does the same thing. So we're talking about, obviously, after you pass away, the will, it talks about who gets what, when, and who's in charge of making that happen. Again, the trust is a substitute. It does the same thing. It talks about who's going to get what when you pass away, how they're going to get it, the circumstances under which they'll get it, and who's going to be in charge of those assets during the process. Okay. Now, there's a critical difference here. The critical difference between a will and a trust is that a will has to be filed with the probate court and reviewed and approved before anybody can act under it or receive any assets from your estate. Okay. So everything is filed with the probate court with the will, including the will. It becomes a public record. Inventory of your estate and all of your assets becomes public record through this probate course and process. As you might imagine, it takes time to go through that public court proceeding as well. There's some delays that are kind of built into the system. Plus, well, we're also just on the court's calendar, right? We're dealing with their schedule too. A trust, on the other hand, is a completely private document. No one's entitled to see it except those who are named in it. And the successor trustee, that's the person who's in charge of the trust. Okay, that's the trustee technical name. That's just the person who's been asked to manage your assets for you that are owned by the trust. Now, that trustee can act immediately without having to go to court. They don't have to file anything. They don't need to get permission from anybody. They've already got the authority after you have passed away or become incapacitated. So trust, it's totally private. It's a private document. It's a private agreement that can be relied on and give immediate and efficient access to the management of your estate after someone passes. Unlike the public process and the public document that's filed with the court under the will and probate process, right? Okay. So a will and a trust, in closing here, they're similar in terms of they're trying to achieve the same thing, but they go through a different process down the road when someone actually needs to act under the will or under the trust. The trust is more efficient, it's private, a will takes a bit longer, and it's public. Those are some of the main differences between a will and a trust. Okay, now the next question I always get is, do I need a trust? Are trusts only for the rich? So you've probably heard people talk about and say that trusts are only for the people who are rich, right? Only if you have X number of dollars in your estate, your net worth or whatever, right? I don't really focus on the assets or look at it from that perspective. Instead, what we do is we let the client decide. Is a will the best route or is a trust best route for them and their family? It has nothing to do with how much you own or might own in the future or what your net worth is, anything like that. Because for us, it's really about the quality of what your family's going to have to go through when something happens to you. So if you leave a will and no trust, your family's probably going to have to go through the probate process and deal with that court process. That might be okay. That might be what you want. If you utilize a trust instead, everything's done properly related to that trust, the funding of the trust. We can talk about that later at some time. But your family, through that trust, can avoid the probate process and things can be much more immediate, as well as they can be kept private versus what would happen with the will. So going through the ins and outs of how a will works, what steps are actually going to be taken versus how a trust works and what steps are going to be taken under a trust down the road, that really helps our clients figure out, is a trust right for them? Okay, we go through the benefits of both. We talk about it in context of their financial situation, but also, and sometimes more importantly, their family dynamics and what experience they want their loved ones to have, their spouse, their life partner, their children, their friends, whoever it is that they're providing for, and they're involving in their plan. What is the experience they want to have for them when something happens to them? Okay, that can lead to the decision, a better decision of whether a trust is right for you or not. We never really make that judgment call ourselves, right? We're never looking at someone's assets and thinking, oh, well, they don't need a trust. We're not going to talk to them about that. Or looking at the assets and say, oh, you definitely have to have a trust, and convincing and trying to convince someone that they need to have a trust, and only talking to them about trust planning. We go at lengths to educate you about difference between the two so that ultimately you're the one that's deciding what's best for you and your family. Okay, so now what does the process look like? So the typical estate planning process, at least the way that we handle it, takes about 8 to 10 weeks from start to finish. And we can definitely expedite that if you're about to travel or if you're about to have a baby, okay? We can move things around and meet your needs. But we do encourage you to start the process with a free educational estate planning discussion. So, I occasionally host, quite readily, online discussions, webinars, you might say, and also in-person seminars in the various states that I practice in. And those are great places and great opportunities to just get educated generally, right? Learn a little more about these things, a little more than what I've talked about here today. And then ask questions as well, kind of learn as a group, right? Then after that, we encourage you to come in for your first appointment. So when you come in first appointment, you'll meet with an attorney, you'll ask questions, we'll ask questions of you, and then you get to decide yes or no whether you want to move forward with the planning process. Most people say yes. They want to move forward and get their estate plan done, get that peace of mind that comes from knowing their family's protected, right? We'd figure out what the fee is at that meeting, so you know exactly what it is, all flat fees agreed to in advance. You're choosing your level of planning. Again, we're educating you. So ultimately, we're not telling you what you need to do. We're guiding you. We're your advisor and your counselor through the process. But ultimately, you're building the plan that is best for you. And with that, you're choosing the plan and building the plan that meets your budget as well. Now, in about a month after that meeting, that planning meeting, you'd come in for your signing. You'll sign all the legal documents we prepared. Your estate plan is fully in place at that time, okay? Then you come in for your third meeting. I say come in, right? However, we do meet in person with a lot of our clients, but a lot of our clients aren't next door, right, to our office. So a lot of these meetings are done virtually. Works just as well. And then we're just kind of mailing things back and forth, helping them get signed, educating them, and moving forward with them. So the third meeting, we call it the legacy meeting, where you're focusing on your insights, your values, your stories, experiences that you want to make sure are captured. Those experiences that you want to make sure are captured, and there are, for your family and loved ones that they'll remember you by, right? The legacy part, those values, those stories and experiences. So we help you with the letters, to write to your children, for your children's potential guardians or your trustee. People are going to be making decisions for you or raising your kids. You're going to have an opportunity to educate them and tell them how you would like your kids to be raised or what medical decisions you'd want made for you, right? And how to deal with certain circumstances. You can also do your legacy video at that meeting. And we hope that that's the first of many videos that you'll do over time for your family. Now, that's the whole process from start to finish, 8 to 10 weeks or so. Of course, expedite as you might need. So we look forward to meeting you, and hopefully we can have you get into this process. If you have any questions about this process, please reach out, and we'll be able to take care of that for you. So yeah, I think we got through that a lot quicker than I thought we were going to. But if you have any questions about trusts, put them in comments. Ask, reach out to us, give us a call. You know, private message us or send us a direct message on any of the platforms that we're on social media, and we want to help you get educated and make sure you're making the decisions for your family that are right for your family, and building that experience that you want your family to go through when the inevitable happens or an emergency happens. Okay, well, that's it for today. Hope that was helpful and enjoyable. Again, make sure to like, share these, and make sure I know that you're watching these. So if you don't mind liking the video, sharing it with people you think might be able to be helpful, and also subscribe. And we'll make sure that you know about all the next and upcoming episodes as we dive deeper. We have I'd say about 5 more frequently asked questions regarding estate planning that we're going to go through. So probably next 2 episodes, we'll finish those up, and then we'll jump in and get diving deeper into protecting your family, creating, really learning how to get your family ready for these situations. Talk about guiding principles for your family, how to establish guiding principles for your family, how to build your business, how to accelerate the value of your business. We'll look at marketing for your business. We'll look at the contingency planning for your business, how to reduce risks in your business. So all these great things are coming. So look forward to discussing them with you.